Ms. Ledger-Fernandez. Mr. Griffith, do you have any questions?
I do. So, Mr. Fry, before you joined Energy and Commerce, I was chairman of the Oversight and Investigation Subcommittee, which has jurisdiction over the OR Office of Refugee Resettlement, which has jurisdiction over the children who are unaccompanied that come into this country. And I've got to tell you, you were absolutely right when you said that we weren't doing any background check at all. What they checked on the people for was just to see if a peoplefinder.com type of background check showed anything. They did not do a criminal background check. They did not do an FBI check. And it was absolutely appalling. To Secretary Becerra's credit, he came in and let us grill him on it. And as a result, they finally, as checking the home the children were going into, they said they would do a virtual check. So they would have, somebody zoom in to the location and say, this is where we're at. Now, I've got to tell you, having worked in the domestic relations field for a number of years when I was practicing as an attorney, any judge in the Commonwealth of Virginia who gave custody of a minor to a child under those circumstances would be no longer a judge, because they would be seen as having not done their duty to protect the child. The benefit to the child was virtually negative, virtually nil, and in fact, and it drove me crazy, they didn't notify the Department of Social Services. So if they placed Child A into Roanoke County, Virginia, they didn't notify the Department of Social Services in Roanoke County, Virginia that Child A was coming there. They didn't notify the school system. I would have accepted either one. So the schools didn't know to look for these people, these children, and the social services didn't know that there was somebody to check on. They weren't doing background checks on the people at all. We're not even talking about, anything that would be considered standard for a child in the United States of America. And I said at the time, and I'll say it today, Madam Chair, and I want to know if you agree with me or not, Mr. Fry. I may not agree on how that child came into the custody of the United States of America, may not agree that they're here. But once we take custody of that child, we have an obligation to protect that child. Would you agree with that?
100%. And I think to your point about what state judges would do in a family court case, I mean, you've practiced law, so have I. I mean, the rigorous enforcement, and almost like super technical way in which states come in and make sure that that home is suitable for a child. Sometimes we can think that that's overbearing when you have a really good set of parents that want to adopt somebody as an example. But here, we just gave them to these sponsors without any regard to who actually lives in that house. We didn't do any background checks, by the way, of the other adults that lived in the house. We didn't even do background checks. We didn't even wait for those to come back.
We didn't even do peoplefinder.com or some other type. I'm not saying they used that one, but some internet system on the other people who might be living in the house. Is that what you're saying?
That's right. I mean, a Google search is not sufficient, right? You got to do more.
I agree. And I will tell you, Madam Chair, it was really appalling because not only did the New York Times report, I think we lost about 75,000 kids where we didn't know where they were. We had no idea. But their investigation showed that there were 12 unaccompanied minors who crossed the border and placed into the custody of the ORR who were sent to the same address with nobody checking. And shockingly, they ended up doing child labor under the table and not having the ability to get to school and just being used for child labor. I don't think the New York Times report had anything on sexual human trafficking, but they certainly had it on labor trafficking, and we allowed that to happen. This bill closes that door mostly, does it not?
I think it absolutely does, and I think when you talk about sex trafficking, I mean, there was a case in Texas most recently where an individual came forward and said that her two sponsors abused her for years, right? So these are the stories that come out of that because we don't do things smart in this country. We should do them a little bit smarter and protect.
Well, it's not only not doing them smart, this is outright negligent and not up to the standards that our court systems usually hold for parents in this country, much less parents of any other people coming into this country. With that, Madam Chair, I yield back.
Thank you very much. And in